Hi guys, this is Daryl and welcome back to Sci-Fi Odyssey. Today we're traversing the galaxy with a titan of a series, the Ilium Olympos duology by Dan Simmons. For those who aren't familiar with Dan Simmons, he's the author of the iconic Hyperion Cantos, a giant of modern sci-fi which I have a whole playlist on if you're interested in here. The Ilium series, composed of Ilium and Olympos, is often overshadowed by Hyperion, but today we're putting it front and centre. The Ilium series is a shining example of Simmons' genius at melding different genres, blending elements of sci-fi, classical literature, and even a touch of fantasy. Simmons draws heavily from Homer's Iliad, infusing the narrative with Greek gods and heroes. But these aren't your typical gods. They're far future, post-human entities manipulating events on Mars. All the while, a reanimated 20th century scholar observes and gets embroiled in their machinations. Simmons doesn't stop there. He interlaces these Homeric narratives with references to Shakespeare's The Tempest and Proust's In Search of Lost Time. He blends quantum physics with post-human evolution. It's a genre-melding spectacle that challenges conventions. These are just a few of the reasons why I believe the Ilium series is a shining beacon of Dan Simmons' creative genius and why it's a unique creation that deserves more love. So let's get deep diving. But before I do, this is the friendly warning. There are some spoilers ahead. The setting of the series is incredibly ambitious. The action takes place across a post-human Earth, Mars, and even the moons of Jupiter. Simmons weaves a rich tapestry of settings that are intricately detailed and deftly connected. First, we have Earth, but this isn't the Earth we know. It's a far future post-human Earth radically transformed by unknown forces. Humanity has evolved, or perhaps devolved. The Eloi, named after the complacent species in H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, lead simple, carefree lives devoid of hardship. Beneath the surface there's a hint of something more sinister, as the Earth is not as it seems. Next we journey to Mars, a barren wasteland? Far from it. In the Ilium series, Mars is a vibrant battlefield mirroring the settings from Homer's Iliad. It's a place where Greek gods and legendary heroes wage war, caught in a seemingly eternal conflict. All of this is observed and chronicled by a 20th century Homer scholar, Thomas Hockenberry, who was resurrected by these self-styled gods to witness this epic recreation. And then we venture further to the moons of Jupiter. Here we find the Moravecs, a civilization of sentient robots, descendants of Earth's vanished humans who live a peaceful existence dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. However, they're drawn into the fray when they notice troubling quantum fluctuations emanating from Mars. Their journey to understand and resolve this crisis is a significant part of the narrative. Simmons, with his vivid and imaginative descriptions, brings each of these settings to life in all its glorious detail. The subtle interconnections and shared histories among these locations are woven seamlessly into the narrative, creating a universe that's as vast and diverse as it is intricately linked. It's this expansive, richly developed backdrop that sets the stage for the epic narrative of the Ilium series. Simmons cleverly infuses classical literature into this far future setting. We're talking about none other than Homer's Iliad. The Greek gods are real, and they're meddling in the recreation of the Trojan War on Mars, witnessed by Hockenberry, who was resurrected by these so-called gods. And if you're a Shakespeare fan, you'll even find works echoing throughout the narrative. This fusion creates a startling contrast that is simply mind-blowing. The incorporation of classical literature into this high-concept sci-fi saga is a testament to Simmons' narrative prowess. His use of classical texts is not merely ornamental, but forms the backbone of his story. At the core of Ilium is Homer's Iliad, a monumental epic poem that tells the story of the Trojan War. A poem, I hear you cry? Doth this be reminiscent of how he used the Hyperion poem by John Keats in the Hyperion Cantos? Why yes, might it doth. But in Simmons' world, the gods of Greek mythology are not mythical at all. They're post-human entities with immense power, capable of shaping reality, replicating the historic battles on Mars, and reviving dead humans to serve their inscrutable purposes. One of these humans, Hockenberry, finds himself living the events he once studied as a scholar. Through his eyes we witness Achilles' rage, Hector's bravery, and the machinations of the gods in a setting that would be alien to Homer himself. But Simmons' literary references don't stop at the Iliad. If you've got a sharp ear for Shakespeare, you'll hear echoes of The Tempest throughout the Ilium series. In the Shakespearean play, the powerful sorcerer Prospero controls his island and its inhabitants through magic. Similarly, in Ilium, the post-humans exert their godlike power over humans and their environment, mirroring Prospero's dominion. Simmons doesn't just use these classics as a narrative crutch. He interrogates them, challenging our understanding of these texts, and in the process crafts a narrative that resonates with the richness of classical literature while breaking new ground in speculative fiction. At this point you might be asking, how can Greek gods and Shakespearean plots possibly work in a sci-fi setting? Well, that is Simmons' genius. He manages to make this wild concept not only work, but also completely captivating. A hallmark of great sci-fi is the ability to blend compelling storytelling and plausible, fascinating scientific concepts. The Ilium series does not disappoint in this regard. It's brimming with speculative science and technological ideas that are as captivating as they are intricate. From sentient robots to humans genetically altered to live carefree lives on a far future Earth, the Ilium series is packed full of ideas that will make any sci-fi fan's mind race. First, let's talk about the Moravecs. These are sentient, autonomous robots who live on the outer edges of the solar system, specifically on the moons of Jupiter. Moravecs are descendants of Earth's original machines sent out to explore and colonize the outer solar system. They're a blend of machine and intellect, embodying the concept of artificial intelligence in its grandest form. In the backstory of the Ilium series, our current civilization, or old-style humans as they're referred to, sent machine probes to explore and colonize the outer edges of the solar system. These autonomous robots over centuries evolved into sentient beings named Moravecs, after the pioneering robots and AI researcher Hans Moravec. Moravecs are an exquisite fusion of artificial and biological characteristics. Their physical forms are distinctly robotic, equipped with advanced nanotechnology that allows for self-repair and modification. Their minds, however, are where things get really interesting. They're capable of complex thought, emotion, and even creativity, rivaling human intellect in many ways. Moravec society, based primarily on the Jovian moons, is centered around knowledge and exploration. They have a deep-rooted culture of intellectual pursuit, exploring various fields from quantum physics to classical literature. In the narrative of the Ilium series, the Moravecs play a crucial role. When they detect unusual quantum activity from Mars, activity that could threaten the stability of the solar system, they set off on a mission to investigate. These Odysseus-like explorers, journeying across space to unravel a cosmic mystery, add a layer of intrigue and adventure to the narrative. The Moravecs are a testament to Simmons' imaginative prowess. Through them he explores themes of artificial intelligence, machine consciousness, and the blurred line between biological and artificial life. They're a perfect example of the intellectual depth and thought-provoking ideas that make the Ilium series such a standout in modern science fiction. Simmons also dives deep into the concept of quantum physics, especially when explaining the actions of the post-human entities on Mars. Quantum teleportation, manipulation of time and space, and creating quantum reality distortions. These might seem like fantastical ideas, but Simmons grounds them in real scientific theories, making the events of the Ilium series that much more immersive and believable. Quantum physics is the cornerstone of modern science, albeit a notoriously complex one, but in the Ilium series, Simmons uses this complexity to create a narrative that's as intellectually engaging as it is dramatically compelling. Firstly, let's talk about quantum teleportation. In the real world, this refers to the transfer of quantum information from one location to another without any physical particles travelling. In Ilium, Simmons takes this principle a step further, with post-human entities and their chosen scholics teleporting across vast distances. Simmons' handling of teleportation in the Ilium series is an excellent example of his ability to merge high-concept scientific ideas with intriguing narrative elements. It's not just a convenient plot device, it also opens up philosophical and existential questions that add depth to the story. This is one of the reasons why the Ilium series stands out in the realm of sci-fi. Next, there's the manipulation of time and space. The post-humans, with their godlike powers, are able to alter the flow of time, fast-forwarding or reversing events at will. They also manipulate space, reshaping the Martian landscape to recreate the Trojan War. While these feats go beyond current scientific understanding, they are rooted in existing theories about malleability of spacetime in quantum mechanics. In quantum physics, spacetime is not a static stage on which events unfold, but rather a dynamic entity that can bend, stretch and warp. Simmons takes these theories to their logical, if somewhat fantastical extremes, for example, time manipulation. The post-humans have the ability to fast-forward or rewind time, a concept that challenges our linear perception of time. It's a nod to the idea of closed time-like curves, a solution of Einstein's field equations in general relativity that theoretically allows for time travel into the past. Simmons creatively uses this theory to let his characters revisit historical events or accelerate into future scenarios. When it comes to space manipulation, Simmons is equally innovative. The post-humans have the power to alter the physical landscape around them at will. On Mars, they reshape the entire geography to mimic the ancient city of Troy, creating the perfect stage for their recreation of the Trojan War. This concept plays with the idea of quantum foam, or spacetime foam. The idea that at the smallest scales, spacetime is not smooth, but turbulent and fluctuating. Simmons takes this idea and scales it up, allowing for his post-humans to mould the macroscopic world as if it were this microscopic foam. Then there's the concept of quantum reality distortions. This is where the line between science and fiction blurs the most. In quantum mechanics, the act of observing a particle can change its state, a phenomenon known as wave function collapse. Simmons extrapolates this principle to a macro scale, where the post-humans can alter reality just by perceiving and willing it, essentially collapsing the wave function of the universe. These might seem like fantastical ideas, and indeed they are speculative, but they're based on real scientific theories and are presented in a manner that respects the intelligence of the reader. Simmons doesn't shy away from the complexities of quantum physics. Instead, he uses them to add depth and texture to his narrative, making the world of Ilium all the more captivating. Next, let's touch on the Eloi, the human inhabitants of a far future Earth. They're named after the docile, simple creatures from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. The Eloi lead an idyllic existence. They live in a world free from disease, hunger, or any kind of hardship. Life is simple, full of play and pleasure. But beneath this utopian surface, the reality is far more complex and disturbing. These humans of the far future are the product of extensive genetic engineering. They've been designed to be docile, content, and lacking in curiosity. They're essentially genetic livestock, controlled and manipulated by unseen powers. Simmons, through the Eloi, paints a picture of a potential future where humanity's evolution is guided not by natural selection, but by intentional design. What's more, the Eloi are managed by entities known as the Voynix, robotic creatures that provide for the Eloi's needs and ensure their compliance. The Eloi's simple, carefree lives are made possible by these unseen handlers, but at the cost of their freedom and self-determination. Through the Eloi, Simmons explores the ethical implications of genetic modification and societal manipulation. These themes are increasingly relevant in our own time as we grapple with the rapid advancements of genetic engineering and AI technology. The Eloi prompt us to question what might happen if we could design our own evolution. What would we gain? And more importantly, what would we lose? Simmons uses the Eloi to hold a mirror to our own society, reflecting our fears and aspirations about our technological future. This is the mark of a truly great sci-fi. It not only entertains us with visions of the future, but also makes us reflect on our present and the choices that we're making. With the Ilium series, Simmons does what the best sci-fi authors do. He challenges us to think, speculate and imagine. He crafts a narrative that's as intellectually stimulating as it is engaging, turning the series into a thrilling ride for any sci-fi lover. But like any work of art, the Ilium series isn't without criticism. Some readers have found the series to be overly complex and dense, with Simmons juggling multiple plot lines across different settings. Many readers, like myself, enjoy this depth and complexity, while others might find it daunting and hard to follow. The fusion of sci-fi and classical literature is not to everyone's taste, and some critics have critiqued the pacing of the story, suggesting that while the series starts strong and sets up an intriguing world, it occasionally gets bogged down with long descriptions and detailed exposition. These criticisms, while valid for some readers, largely boil down to personal taste. Simmons' unique blend of science literature and myth, his intricate plotting, and his attention to detail are as much potential points of criticism as they are elements of praise. But if you're a fan of intricate plots, complex characters, and the idea of ancient mythology colliding with far future science fiction, Dan Simmons' Ilium series should be next on your reading list. And if you've already read the series, join me now in a quiet moment of appreciation of this wild, underrated odyssey. Okay, so that's it for our deep dive into the brilliance of the Ilium series. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you enjoy it as much as me? Don't forget to like and subscribe in all the usual ways. Until next time, guys.